You don't owe every part of yourself to someone just because they're in your life. Relationships, whether romantic or not, thrive on trust, yes, but trust doesn't mean full exposure. In fact, giving someone all your truths at once can weaken your position, your mystery, and even your value in their eyes. Today, I'm going to tell you the 5 things a woman must always keep for herself, not to play games, but to protect her peace, her power, and her place in the relationship. And believe me, the difference between being respected and being taken for granted is often hidden in what you don't share. When you open yourself up emotionally, you're letting someone walk right into the most fragile part of who you are. And here's the truth. Most people are not equipped to handle that level of access responsibly. It's not about being cold, it's about being wise. Because the moment you show someone every crack in your armor, you've given them the exact blueprint for how to break you. And sometimes, they won't even need to do it intentionally. People mishandle what they don't fully understand, and your emotions, your deep fears, your triggers, your unhealed wounds, are not something you just hand over like a free sample at a grocery store. You have to remember that emotions are powerful, but they can be a weapon in the wrong hands. Think about it. If a man knows exactly what makes you anxious, what makes you cry, what keeps you awake at night, he also knows exactly what strings to pull, whether that's to comfort you or control you. And when you're still in the early stages of building a relationship, you don't know which way he'll lean. That's why restraint isn't manipulation. It's protection. It's you saying, I will let you earn the right to see me at my most vulnerable, but I will not hand that over just because you smiled at me, bought me dinner, or said the right words. Too many women equate vulnerability with instant trust, but trust isn't instant. It's proven. It's tested over time. And when you reveal too much too soon, you set yourself up for a dangerous imbalance. You might think you're creating closeness, but what you might actually be creating is dependency. Because now, without even realizing it, you've tied your emotional stability to how this person treats you. And if they ever decide to pull away, you'll feel like you've lost not just them, but a piece of yourself. The strongest connections are the ones where you can be open without being exposed. That means you can share parts of your story without dumping the entire emotional weight of your life into someone's lap. You can be real without being reckless. There's a difference between letting someone see you cry and letting them see you break. And until you know a man has the character, the consistency, and the capacity to hold space for your deeper emotions, you owe it to yourself to keep that part locked away. And let me be clear, this isn't about being fake or pretending you're stronger than you are. It's about pacing the relationship in a way that keeps you in control of what you give. You can still be kind, warm, and approachable without spilling the parts of yourself that aren't ready to be handled. Think of it like a trust account. You make small deposits over time, not in all, in transfer on day one. The more someone proves they can safeguard what you've already shared, the more you can trust them with the rest. There's also another layer to this: mystery. When you hold back parts of your emotional world, you maintain a certain depth that keeps people curious. A man should have to work to uncover those parts of you. That effort is what makes him value it when he finally does. But if you hand it all over immediately, there's nothing left for him to discover. And when mystery dies too soon, so does intrigue. Protecting your emotional vulnerability is not about building walls. It's about setting gates. And gates aren't locked forever. They open when the right person at the right time with the right intentions comes along and proves they can walk in without causing damage. Until then, you keep that part of yourself safe. Because the reality is, your heart isn't just part of you. It's the engine that drives everything you are. And that's not something you give away lightly. Your past is yours. It's not a public record that automatically becomes someone's property the moment they show interest in you. Every woman has chapters in her life that were messy, painful, or just deeply personal, and those moments shaped who you are today. But shaping you and defining you are not the same thing. The mistake so many women make is believing that in order to be honest or transparent, they need to open the floodgates and reveal every single detail about their past. The truth is, not everyone can handle those details the way they're supposed to. Some men will take those details and respect you even more for what you've overcome, but others will use them as quiet leverage. They may never say it out loud, but they'll start filtering how they see you, how they treat you, through the lens of what they now know. That's the danger. Because once you give away your entire backstory, you lose the ability to control how it's understood or remembered. And sometimes, even good people unintentionally misinterpret what they've been told. Your past has emotional weight, and handing it over in full to someone too soon is like placing a fragile vase in the hands of a stranger. You don't know if they'll carry it carefully or drop it without realizing its value. That's why you need to decide which parts of your history are for public conversation, which are for deeper intimacy, and which are just for you. Because you are allowed to keep some things as your own. Here's what a lot of people don't think about. When you tell someone about mistakes you've made, times you've been hurt, or even moments you regret, you're giving them insight into your fears, your guilt, and your vulnerabilities. And not everyone can resist the temptation to use that information, especially in moments of conflict. That's when the past you've shared can suddenly be brought up as a weapon, a way to guilt you, or a way to question your worth. Protecting your past doesn't mean hiding who you are. It means understanding that your past is sacred, and not everyone has earned the right to sit in that sacred space with you. You can be open about lessons you've learned without giving away the full story of how you learned them. You can share where you've been without explaining every single step of the journey. This isn't about secrecy, it's about timing and trust. And timing matters more than most people think. When a relationship is new, emotions are high and logic is often low. You're still figuring out who this man really is beyond the version of himself he's showing you. And in that stage, revealing too much of your past can create an imbalance. He knows everything about you, but you know very little about him. That's not closeness. That's vulnerability without protection. The reality is, the right man won't need your full history to love you. He'll want to know you in the present. How you think, how you live, how you treat people. He'll learn your story over time, piece by piece, in the right moments, and he'll treasure each detail because he had to earn it. But the wrong man, he'll either rush you into oversharing so he can assess your weaknesses, or he'll judge you before he even truly knows you. So, keep the parts of your past that are not ready for exposure exactly where they belong, safe, respected, and in your control. When the right person comes along, you won't have to force those conversations, they'll happen naturally. Until then, remember, your past is a privilege to know, not a right to demand. Money isn't just numbers on a bank statement. It's a reflection of how you think, how you plan, and in some ways, how you survive. That's why you can't just hand over every detail of your financial life to a man, especially early on. Your exact income, your savings, your debts, your investments, those are things that belong to you until you decide otherwise. Because once someone knows your full financial picture, they don't just know what you have, they know what you depend on, what you fear losing, and where you might be most vulnerable. A lot of women get caught in the idea that being open about money is a sign of trust. And yes, in the right relationship, financial transparency can be a beautiful thing. But the problem comes when that transparency is offered too soon, before the relationship has earned the weight of that knowledge. The truth is, money changes how people act. Even the most well-intentioned man can shift his perspective, sometimes without realizing it, when he knows exactly what's in your account. If he knows you're financially stable, he might unconsciously lean on that. He might start expecting you to contribute more, cover more, or adjust your lifestyle to match what you can afford instead of what's fair. If he knows you're struggling, He might either pull away because he doesn't want to take on responsibility, or worse, he might see it as an opportunity to gain influence over you by becoming the one you depend on. In both cases, that early financial exposure shifts the balance in ways you may not have intended. And here's another thing: money talk can sometimes create a false sense of intimacy. Just because you've told someone your salary or your spending habits doesn't mean you've built a stronger bond. It just means you've handed over information they can use to form assumptions about you. And those assumptions don't always work in your favor. People have their own beliefs about money, their own value systems around it, and once they know your financial reality, they filter everything you do through that lens. Protecting your financial details isn't about secrecy, it's about security. It's about maintaining a boundary that says, I'm building this relationship based on connection, not calculation. Because when a man is getting to know you, you want him to value your mind, your character, your presence, not your wallet, not your assets, and not your liabilities. That comes later, when you've both proven you're in it for the right reasons. And it's not just about the big numbers. Even casual financial habits, the way you budget, what you spend on yourself, how much you invest, can tell someone a lot about you. If you let him in on all of that too early, you're basically showing him your blueprint for independence. And if you're dealing with the wrong man, he'll either try to control it, exploit it, or slowly make himself a part of it in ways that aren't in your best interest. The right time to share financial details is when you're both committed, secure, and aligned in your goals. Not when you're still figuring out if he even deserves to know where you bank. Until then, keep those numbers to yourself. Not because you're hiding something, but because you're protecting something: your stability, your freedom, and your ability to make decisions without unnecessary influence. At the end of the day, your financial life is a part of your power. And power, once given away too easily, is almost impossible to take back. Your ambitions, your goals, your long-term vision. These are not just dreams you talk about casually. They're your roadmap, your strategy for the life you're building. And the truth is, not every man should have a front row seat to that blueprint. Because once someone knows your exact moves, they can influence them, question them, or even sabotage them, whether intentionally or not. You might think it's harmless to share every detail of your 5-year plan, your career goals, or your personal milestones, but the more you lay it out, the more you open the door for someone else's opinions to shape your direction. When you reveal your full playbook, you give away one of the most powerful things you have: your ability to move with quiet intention. There's a certain strength in keeping parts of your plan to yourself. Not because you don't trust anyone, but because you understand that your dreams require protection. And protection means not letting every thought, every step, every strategy become open for debate. Sometimes, when you share too much too soon, you find yourself making adjustments to please someone else. A man might say he supports your goals, but still plant subtle doubts, little comments that make you question whether you're aiming too high or moving too fast. Or he might start expecting you to change your priorities to fit his timeline. Without realizing it, you've allowed your vision to be reshaped, not by what you truly want, but by what keeps the peace in the relationship. That's why guarding your long-term strategy is so important, because it keeps you on your own path, not someone else's. There's also the danger of energy being drained. The more you talk about your big plans, the more people around you feel like they've already been part of your journey, even if they've done nothing to help you get there. And when that happens, your motivation can fade. It's one thing to share your achievements after you've earned them. It's another to constantly talk about what you're working toward before it's real. The wrong man might encourage you in words, but never support you in actions, leaving you with nothing but empty validation. Keeping parts of your plan private also protects you from unnecessary pressure. The moment someone knows your exact timeline, they can start holding you to it, Even if life takes you in a different direction, that pressure can create stress, self-doubt, and even resentment. But when you move quietly, you give yourself the freedom to change course without having to explain yourself to anyone. The right man will respect your ambitions without needing a full map of how you'll get there. He'll encourage you to chase what matters to you, and he'll trust that you're capable of figuring out the steps without his oversight. The wrong man will either feel threatened by your independence or try to insert himself into your plans so he can take credit for your progress. That's why discernment matters, because not everyone who smiles at your dreams is rooting for them to come true. Your goals are sacred. Your vision is sacred, and the way you intend to reach them is your personal strategy. Not every detail is meant to be shared, and not every opinion is meant to be heard. Move quietly, work intentionally, and let your results speak for you. Because when your success shows up, it won't need an introduction. It will speak for itself. Boundaries are essential, but they're not something you need to hand over like a printed rule book on day one. When you lay out every single line a man can't cross before he's even shown you who he really is, you give him the exact coordinates to tiptoe around. And the problem with that is simple. People can perform respect without actually having it. They can avoid the things you've told them outright while crossing lines you never mentioned, all because they've learned to play within the rules you gave them. It's far more powerful to let a man reveal his character without a guided map. See how he treats you when he doesn't know what's off limits. Watch how he speaks to you when he's frustrated, how he responds when you disagree, how he acts when you're not giving him exactly what he wants. That's when you see the truth, not in how well he follows a list, but in how naturally he respects you without needing one. When you hold some boundaries back until they're tested, you're not being manipulative. You're being observant. You're giving yourself the chance to learn who you're dealing with before deciding what level of access he should have. And the truth is, real respect is consistent. You shouldn't have to tell someone not to lie, not to belittle you, not to cross into parts of your life that aren't theirs to touch. A man with good character already knows. The other danger of revealing all your boundaries up front is that some men will see it as a challenge. Instead of respecting the lines, they'll slowly push against them just to see if you'll bend. And the more you told them in the beginning, the more they know exactly where to apply that pressure. This is how women end up in situations where their boundaries get worn down piece by piece. Because the person they're with knew exactly what to target from the start. Sometimes the most effective boundary is the one a man only sees when he tries to cross it. That's when you can show, not tell, that you're serious about protecting yourself. Because if you enforce a limit firmly and calmly in the moment, it's far more impactful than announcing it months before. It becomes part of your identity. She's not someone you can take advantage of, and you don't learn that from a conversation, you learn it from experience. Holding back your full list of boundaries also keeps you from over-explaining yourself. You don't owe anyone a complete breakdown of why you won't tolerate certain things. Sometimes, "I don't like that," is enough. Sometimes, "That doesn't work for me," is all the explanation you need. And the men who respect you won't need a long justification to understand it. They'll adjust because they value you, not because they're trying to avoid breaking a rule. The right man will meet unspoken boundaries naturally because they're already part of how he treats people he cares about. The wrong man will need constant reminders, constant enforcement, and constant negotiation, and that's not a relationship. That's a job you didn't sign up for. So don't rush to tell someone exactly where all the lines are. Let their actions show you if they're the kind of man who even deserves to know. And when the moment comes where a line is tested, hold it with calm strength. Because the way you defend your boundaries teaches people how to treat you. And that's not something you explain, that's something you show. Independence is one of the most attractive qualities a woman can have, but here's the thing. You don't have to put it all on display. A man should feel your strength, but he doesn't need to see the full depth of how capable you are on your own. Because when you reveal every way you can stand alone, some men will admire it, but others will quietly start to depend on it. They'll stop putting in the effort because they know you can handle everything yourself. And before you know it, you're carrying the relationship while he's just along for the ride. There's a balance you have to keep. Show enough independence so he respects you, but not so much that he assumes you'll never need his support. Because when a man thinks you don't need him at all, some will pull back. Not because they don't care, but because they think they're replaceable. And when a man feels replaceable, his effort drops. Relationships thrive on mutual contribution, and if he feels like he's got nothing to give, he might stop trying to give anything at all. On the other side of that, if you let him see every detail of how you manage your life, how you solve problems, how you handle crises, how you keep things running without any help, he might start treating your independence like a safety net. Instead of stepping up, he'll rely on the fact that you've got it covered. And the truth is, yes, you can handle things alone. But just because you can doesn't mean you should have to. Keeping parts of your independence private isn't about pretending to be weaker than you are. It's about maintaining the space for him to contribute, to invest, to feel needed in ways that keep the relationship balanced. You don't need to broadcast that you've got backup plans for your backup plans, that you know how to fix the sink yourself, or that you've already figured out how to cover every bill without him. Let him show up for you. Let him offer support. Let him feel that his presence adds value beyond companionship. And here's the other part. Mystery plays a role here too. When a man sees only glimpses of your independence, it leaves him curious, keeps him engaged, and reminds him that there's more to you than what he's already experienced. If he knows everything about how you operate on your own, the intrigue fades. But when he knows you're strong without knowing the full extent of it, he stays interested in discovering more. There's also a protective layer to this. When a man knows exactly how you sustain yourself, it gives him insight into what resources you have, what you're willing to handle, and where you might bend before you break. And if you're with the wrong man, that's the kind of information he can use. Not always maliciously, but sometimes selfishly, to take more than he gives. By keeping certain aspects of your independence to yourself, you safeguard your energy, your resources, and your ability to make decisions without anyone trying to sway them. The right man will naturally see your strength through the way you carry yourself, the choices you make, and the life you've built, not through a detailed list of everything you can do without him. He'll respect your independence without using it as an excuse to contribute less. The wrong man will see it as an opportunity to relax while you do the heavy lifting. So yes, let him know you're strong. Let him feel your confidence. But keep the full depth of your independence in your own hands. Because when a man knows you're with him by choice, not by necessity, that's when he values you most.